Guys, I have something to tell you. It's actually the end of dropshipping. Joke! No, it's not. Dropshipping will never go anywhere. And whoever's saying like, oh, it's gonna end or whatnot, they're literally just fear mongering or they just don't like the dropshipping model. So recently, the US is cracking down on the de minimis rule. So if you haven't heard about it, then you should probably read it up. So it was announced like in September that the government in the US wants to crack down on the de minimis rule because Shein and Temu are getting too big and people are exploiting the de minimis rule. So what we're going to discuss in this video, we're going to understand the dropshipping model for those who don't know it. We're just going to briefly go through it. Then we're going to go through what is the de minimis rule, why is the US cracking down on it, and Temu and Shein's role in the story. Then we're going to talk about the first change, which is the customs and duties and tariffs, the second change, which is the data requirements, and the third change, certificate of compliance. So there are 3 changes. And then we're going to go through how this impacts dropshippers and how to move forward. And then we're also going to go through the resources where you can read up about the de minimis rule change yourself. So we're briefly going to go through the dropshipping model, and basically you're setting up your own e-commerce store and you're selling products online, but you don't hold inventory. And instead you source your products from a third-party supplier, and usually I suggest AliExpress. And so order fulfillment. When a customer places an order on your site, usually on Shopify, you then order that order on AliExpress, and your suppliers on AliExpress will send the product out for you. So you will never ever touch the product. The reason for this is it's cheap and fast, and you sell worldwide with AliExpress. You can automate the fulfillment process using DSers app on Shopify, and there's a free plan that you can use forever. It's a risk-free business model because you don't need to buy your products in bulk and there's no MOQ at all. So you can always pivot your business and upload new products to your store without worrying about ordering them in bulk. It's also very easy to scale compared to other businesses. You could basically scale as fast as you want with paid ads and be able to expand your product range fairly easily. It also allows you to be very flexible with your location. So as you probably notice, my background is actually a beach and I'm filming this video from my hotel. I can literally be wherever I want in the world, work from my laptop, film content for you guys and share my experience and knowledge. So what is the de minimis rule? So goods under $800 can enter the US without going through customs duties, taxes, or detailed reporting. So in 2016, this value was actually raised from $200 to $800. So the reason why there's a de minimis rule is because regulating tiny imports means there's a lot more administrative effort, work, labor, and time. And the potential tax revenue from customs tax was just too low for them to actually consider regulating like small parcels going into the US. So this was actually a very beneficial loophole for dropshippers relying on suppliers in China, shipping from China to the US, because that meant customers don't need to pay customs duties and nor do we have to pay customs. And this was also beneficial for big e-commerce giants operating in the US. However, they've actually figured out a loophole where they put their warehouses just in Mexico or Canada and ship their products to their customers from the warehouses out of the US. And this way they could avoid big import tax when they're shipping bulk containers into the US, right? Just imagine all the costs associated with shipping a large container into the US and storing it there. So to be honest, this US regulation crackdown isn't really just for dropshippers. It's actually for big businesses who are abusing the de minimis rule. So this exemption has been exploited by foreign producers, particularly China, leading to concerns about unfair trade and safety risks. So why is the US cracking down? There's been a rise in imports ever since e-commerce boomed. So the number of de minimis shipments has skyrocketed from 140 million parcels in 2013 to over 1 billion in 2023. There's evasions of duties. Many sellers use this loophole to bypass tariffs under the Section 301, hurting US businesses. So safety and compliance issues, an influx of dangerous products, counterfeit products, and items made with forced labor has overwhelmed the customs and border protection, which means they couldn't keep up with all the parcels and they were just letting them through, even though those parcels could have contained dangerous products. So what is Temu's and Shein's role in this story? Well, e-commerce giants like these two are rapidly growing companies that ship low-priced goods like apparel, electronics, beauty products, you name it, from China to the US customers. They send more than 1 million parcels a day into the US, and they rely on the de minimis exemption so customers do not have to pay customs fee, and that means they could keep their costs low. This results in US apparel manufacturers to close their factories in the US and lay off workers. So it's actually a really bad thing for the US economy. So the US lawmakers want to change or eliminate the de minimis rule, as it gives foreign companies an unfair advantage and harms businesses in the US. So the first change is to do with customs duties and tariffs. So on September 13th, 2024, the White House announced its plan to crack down on de minimis shipments. The first rule is to deny de minimis status for goods covered by tariffs under Section 201, 301, and 232 of the Trade Act. So examples of products affected, so in Section 201 are like solar panels and washing machines, which, to be honest, it doesn't really affect dropshippers, right? However, Section 301 kind of does, where it's based on electronics, furniture, textiles, and apparel. So if this rule does go through, it will affect those who are shipping electronics, furniture, textiles, or apparel into the US from China. And Section 232 relates to products that are steel, aluminium, automobiles, and auto parts. I'm not too sure what's going to happen. We kind of just need to see what happens and keep up to date with the news. But right now, you really shouldn't be panicking. And if anything happens, well, we're going to talk about that in the last slide. So the second change is data requirements. So importers will need to provide additional information, including the 10-digit tariff code and the party claiming the exemption. So usually that's just going to be the 10-digit code that your supplier is going to give on AliExpress, which they're probably doing already. And the party claiming the exemption, I'm not too sure how they're going to track this, and no one really knows what they want. Hopefully they're just asking for their full name. So yeah, this all depends on what additional information is required, but at this point in time, I don't actually think there's any information on that. I also believe that AliExpress suppliers will handle all of this. And I know there are videos going around where people are saying that customers need to provide their social security number, but I've yet to find any information on this. I've also experienced other customers from certain countries like South Korea and Brazil, etc., where they actually ask for their ID. So this isn't really something new for me. You just need the ID from your customers, which is a bit long-winded, but is possible. So this isn't really something new to me, and other countries have adopted this already. The only issue that I could think of right now is how fast customs will be in the US if they have to sort through all these parcels and match information. Like if you think about it, they have to sort through 1 million parcels from Temu and Shein alone per day. Just imagine all the other parcels going into the US. I just don't know how they're going to do it. And the other question is whether your customers will provide you with their ID number and if that's even a requirement. So this is something I wouldn't really panic about, and most of it will be sorted by AliExpress suppliers. And the third and final change is certificate of compliance. So importers will have to file electronic certificates proving their products meet US safety and consumer standards. And yes, AliExpress products do meet these safety and consumer standards. Again, I believe this is going to be resolved from AliExpress supply side, and they'll be handling all of this. So the second and third change shouldn't really affect us too much. And you just want to make sure that your suppliers are meeting safety and consumer standards by contacting them on AliExpress. So how does this actually impact dropshippers? Well, you might see an increased cost. If the de minimis exemptions are denied for goods covered by tariffs under Section 201, 301, or 232 of the Trade Act, then we may be facing higher import costs to the US. There's going to be more documentation required with stricter reporting and compliance requirements, but as I said before, this should be handled by AliExpress themselves. And we may see longer shipping times because the customs will have to implement all these new changes, and I just don't know how they're going to deal with it. I really don't. So we'll see how it goes. So what are we going to do moving forward as dropshippers? Well, the first things first is remain calm. As a business owner and entrepreneur, you need to learn to remain calm and level-headed when situations like this arise. There will always be solutions to problems. You just got to think of them. And then diversify suppliers. So you can actually consider using suppliers on AliExpress that ship from US to US. And that way you bypass customs and all of these changes. You can also have a US based warehouse by storing your products in the US warehouses or using services like Shipmonk or ShipBob. And that can help avoid all these complexities of international shipments and potential tariffs when shipping from China to the US. And as I mentioned many times on my channel, you want to focus on higher value items. You want to dropship items from AliExpress with high perceived value so that you can offset any increased costs or custom duties that your customers may have to pay. You can also look at alternative markets and just avoid selling to the US as a whole. You could always look into selling to other countries like Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, France, Netherlands, Italy, Spain, etc. So it's not the end of the world if the US does implement these changes. You can also avoid selling products under the Section 201, 301 and 232 to the US, and that way you can avoid these new US regulations. So moving forward, there are many solutions and ways around this problem, but for now we just need to remain calm and just see how it goes. And even if it does get implemented, I don't know how quick they'll actually implement it into their customs processes. It's just such a long process that it may take a year, 2 years to implement, so we'll see how it goes. So here are a few resources that you can go and read yourself to learn about the changes that the US government are trying to implement. So there are 5 links that you can read in your own time. And that's it guys, I hope you guys feel less stressed about this entire situation. Again, just remain calm, I'll keep you guys updated, but yeah. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content. Peace.